Hello everyone tuning into this video in divine timing. Peace, blessings, love, light, chaos, and darkness to you. I'm just an individual that's here to let you know the truth about this game because this game was meant to prepare us for this upcoming decade for 2020. And is Kingdom Hearts is the most symbolic game that I've ever played. It's very deep, especially once you understand what it is that they're trying to show you. My intention, my goal for this video is that it reaches everyone that is supposed to reach in the time that they're meant to receive it. And this video it's not meant for everybody, but it's meant for everybody that watches it. This is my gift to the collective. I'm just here doing my part, y'all. I'm just here to do what I'm supposed to do. This is for my millennials, and this is also for Disney fans. And here we go. So you notice how like you had the frequency, the twilight noise. That was so you be open to the game's messaging, to the programming. And then you have the storm. The storm, that's to let you know that the greatest, the most powerful souls, they awaken out of adversity in the storms of their life. And they even showing you, like, see, he's waking up. He's waking up to who he is. He's waking up out of the matrix. I've been having these weird thoughts lately, like asking the big questions, like, who am I? Is this real? What's going on? You gonna be asking that question a lot, like, dang, is what I'm going through real? Like, what's going on? Trust, some of us wake up in situations and it's like, damn, that's the unconscious. He's descending into the unconscious, and see, he woke up. He's awake in the real world now. He's bathed in the light. And you see Riku's in the water because he has an affinity for the darkness. He has more darkness than the average person. And he ready for it. He let you know. Like, come on, like, this is what you're supposed to do. This is the right way. And Sora's gonna chase after him. So they're in the water, they plunge into the darkness. Because the water is the symbol for the darkness, for the unconscious mind. And as you see, they don't have the same path, they're on different paths. And now he's out of the darkness. And you see Kairi, she's not in the water because she's the princess of heart. Her heart is full of light, so she's not going to be in the water because she's not in the darkness. She doesn't have an affinity for the darkness. The darkness is not for her. Which, that's not a good thing. No, you need to be with the darkness in some way, shape, or form. He's falling. This is symbolic for how you can tune in to different realms of the unconscious, subconscious mind while still being aware, kind of like ADD, or attuned to different dimensions. And he's falling. This is the as above, so below. To descend is to ascend. That's why he's falling in the sky. And then that source of light that he fell into, that's his heart chakra, which is why this is called the dive into the heart. Your heart is the core essence of who you are as a divine being, as a soul. And I should make mention of that. This video is really for the awakening souls, because like I said, Kingdom Hearts was meant to prepare us for this upcoming decade for 2020. And you got the doves because they're trying to let you know that your heart is a very, very sacred space. It's like holy, like bam. Very, very sacred. It is yours. It is you. Your heart chakra is who you are. So much to do, so little time. Take your time, but don't be afraid. In later games, they try and explain that was Mickey that was speaking to him, but in the context of this game, which I'm going to make that clear, I'm only breaking this game down from the context of this game as if Kingdom Hearts is the only game. I'm not thinking about 2 or 3 or Dream Drop Distance. No. This is his heart chakra, his higher consciousness that's speaking to him right now. And this is all in the dream. And right here, this is DNA activation. So when you activate as a soul for the first time, it's like you choose what abilities you're gonna wield. Like, and when I say abilities, I mean like X-Men type shit. Yeah, it's and I was honest when I was picking. Like, you know, I chose the Power of the Mystic because that's what I always choose. Like, and they're letting you know right off the bat, because it is true, in order to gain something you have to give up something, you have to lose something. So I wasn't about to give up that shield because we ain't got no defense power in this game. Like, it's whack. Like, you be losing real quick. You get hit one time, half your health be gone. But yeah, you gotta gain something. You gotta lose something to gain something is what I mean. Is this the form that you choose? Your path is set. So once you choose like your abilities, that's like, you know, that's it. You set. And he's falling, he's plunging deeper into the darkness, aka he's plunging deeper and deeper into himself. And it's just interesting that they have the Disney princesses. They're there, like their faces are there, and like it's like they're asleep because they want you to stay asleep. They don't want you to wake up. But they're telling you all the information within the context of the game, so you can't be like, nobody ever told me. Nah, like if you played this game, you know, like you know the truth. Whether you consciously know the truth or not, your subconscious mind received the programming. Remember in the beginning of the game when they did the twinkling noise after you hit new game and you said okay? Yeah, that you know. You might not know that you know, but you know. And they tell you gain the power to fight, and even though this is the tutorial, it's still truth to it. That's why this, like I said, this is the most symbolic game that I've ever played. You gain, yes, you do gain experience. You gain wisdom as you move forward. And there are going to be some instances where you do need to fight and you need to protect yourself. And what's interesting about this game is that they actually channeled the essence of the darkness in the game. How the darkness looks and feels in this game is exactly how it is. And I think that's I want to say it's amazing, but then at the same time I don't want to say that, because the intention behind the entire game is not necessarily benevolent. So like I said, he went deeper into the darkness, deeper into himself, and the light is showing you, the light is supposed to show you where to go, you see, and it's supposed to show you where to go, what to do. The door is not, he can't open the door yet because there are certain conditions that you have to fulfill within yourself to be able to walk through the door, to be able to even open it. You gotta learn. You gotta learn, you gotta know about yourself. See? When part of it came up. See, you like, it might just be a game, but there's so much truth into it. It's ridiculous. Like, but like I said, I'm just here to provide you with the information, and you do with it as you see fit. That's me. That's what I'm here to do. So the door to the light, they trying to show you is yeah, the door to the light. I want to say it's the door to the superconscious, the door to new worlds, to new realms. That's essentially what it is, because you remember the door is a portal. And it says, first, tell me about yourself, because the door is not going to open just yet. You have to learn about yourself. You have to know who you are as a divine being in order to really take care of yourself and to step in your power. And when I was answering these questions, I was honest. I was honest. And I'm glad I was honest, because what they tell you after you have your three choices, and that's another thing. Three is a significant number. That's the Trinity. That's three is literally the magic number. You want to be number one, you're afraid of being indecisive, and you want to be strong. Your adventure begins in the dead of night. Your road won't be easy, but a rising sun awaits your journey's end. So some of us, like, and that's, I would describe that as me, because some, like I said, some of us as awakening souls, like a lot, like we awaken in very dire situations, and it's supposed to be like that because that's what's needed to wake you up. So when it said the journey started in the dead of night, technically that's my journey started in the dead of night. That's how it was. And again, you got the light showing you where to go, what to do. And they have you walk up to her face because they want you to stay asleep. Don't stay asleep. Nah. Do not stay asleep. And I'm going to say it now, like, I'm making it so just protect yourself, like, from the intentional frequencies of not just this game but every game. So I'm making it so you're not affected by these frequencies, even though I'm explaining them to you, and even though you're seeing and hearing it. And you see, like, how it's like kind of churchy, like a cathedral, the windows. It lets you know, like, you kind of getting closer to the light of God, the light, the real light, the light that's worthy of being honored and praised. Like, you need to have the utmost respect for this light, the light of God. And here it is. The closer you get to the light, the greater your shadow becomes, because the real light is going to lead you to the darkness. It's going to lead you to yourself. And it's up to you to illuminate that, like, your darkness, that part of yourself, so you can integrate it or transmute it if need be. And they're telling you not to be afraid and don't forget. But if you were like me and you played this game, I played this game when I was 7, because I got it for my 7th birthday, so, you know, that's significant in and of itself. But they're telling you not to be afraid, but if you remember when you played this game when you were little, you were hella afraid. You was like, nah. That's because that's their intention. That's his shadow. The shadow is going to morph into whatever it needs to morph into to get your attention, especially if you're not integrating it and you're repressing it. They're saying don't be afraid, but the intention is for you to be afraid. You hold the mightiest weapon of all. That's your heart chakra. They can't beat that. But the intention is that you believe it's the weakest. They're saying don't forget, but they want you to forget. They want you to not be aware. You are the one who will open the door to light. And it stops right there. You are the one, because if you're an awakening soul, like, you were chosen to awaken. You when they say the chosen one, they're talking about, like, all the souls, the majority of the souls. You are the one who will open the door, because can't nobody open the door for you. You have to be the one to open your own door.
Give me a break, Kyrie.
And all that, on top of all that, this was a dream. And it was a lucid dream on top of that. It wasn't just a regular dream, it was a lucid dream.
Black thing swallowed me up. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't.
And the dream was to let him know what was coming.
Or was it?
It was a foreshadowing of the events to come.
What was that place?
Like with all dreams, your dream's gonna let you know about anything and everything that you need to know.
was your hometown like? You know, where you grew up?
I've told you before. I don't remember.
Nothing at all?
Nothing.
You ever want to go back?
Well, I'm happy here.
Really?
But you know, I wouldn't mind going to see it.
I'd like to see it too. Along with any other worlds out there.
And they want you to know that it's
So what are we waiting
different worlds out there. And when they say different worlds, they are talking about different planets, different dimensions, and different realms. But we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. And Riku, remember Riku's with the darkness, and the darkness is, it's not always synonymous with evil. It's symbolic for wisdom, for truth. So that's why Riku peeps things, and he's like knowledgeable, because that's what the darkness is. Usually in some cases when you're with the light and only the light, it's like you don't have that same wisdom and knowledge that somebody with the darkness does. And that's one thing I do appreciate about this game, is they make that very like known, like they let you know about that. But at the same time, the light can also be a symbol for knowledge and wisdom. But you have to remember, the false light exists too. And the false light is meant to lead you astray. The false light will lead you everywhere but to yourself. So you have to have discernment when it comes to light. And the darkness helps with that discernment. And you got the sunset.
So, Kyrie's home is out there somewhere, right?
That's they have them talking in front of the sunset so that you could be aware
But how
in
far
your
could a raft
subconscious
take us?
mind, like of what it is they're trying to get you to see.
If we have to, we'll think of something else.
And Riku's all
Suppose
philosophical,
that's another world.
and he thinks a lot because he's with that
What would you
darkness.
do there?
He's not on the same level as
Well,
as
haven't
Sora,
really
and
thought about it.
especially Kyrie.
It's just, I've always wondered why we're here.
See,
on
I've
this
always
island.
wondered why we're here on this
If there are
island.
any other worlds.
If there are any other world, because he's
Why
waking
did we
up,
end up
so
on
he's
this one?
asking the big questions like,
And
what's my
suppose
purpose?
there
What are we
are
doing
other
here?
worlds.
That's usually what happens when you.
Then ours
That's
is
what's
just
supposed
a
to
little
happen when
piece
you
of
wake up.
something much
When
greater.
you become aware of what
So,
this reality,
We
this
could've just
universe
as
was
easily
really
ended up
going
somewhere
on
else,
in
right?
creation right now at this
I don't
time.
know.
exactly. That's why we need to go out there and find out. Just sitting here won't change a thing. It's the same old stuff. So let's go.
Yeah, it's the
You've been
same old
thinking a
stuff.
lot
You don't
lately,
want to be
haven't you?
stagnant. Like, you need to
to
always
you.
be. In the context of
hadn't
this game,
come
you should
here,
always be elevating
I probably would have never thought
and
of any
evolving into your
of
highest
this. Kyrie,
self.
thanks.
Stagnancy
You're
is like
welcome.
death. So, yeah, nah.
Sora!
And one thing is they let you know, they allude to the fact that Sora and Kyrie are divine counterparts.
Their destinies become
But
intertwined, but
the
remain a part of each other's
malevolent
lives,
part
no matter what.
of that they're
Come
showing
on,
you
I
this
know you
is
wanna
they
try.
try
What are you
and I really think their intention is to keep divine counterparts separate, because if you notice, Sora and Kyrie never get together, they're always separated. I really think that's the intention behind those two, their relationship. And here you got the Disney castle. And it's the Disney castle because first off, Disney funded this game. That's why it's so deep and symbolic. Disney funded this game. Disney was trying to let you know about 2020, what's happening. But before I touch on that, you see Donald's hat is something like dark about that hat, and I think it has to do with Saturn and not being aware enough to escape. I kind of don't want to go into detail on that, because if you know, you know. That's what I have to say about that. Forget that hat. But Disney Castle, because Disney funded this game. And Mickey is the king. Mickey is also the divine masculine, but Mickey is the king specifically because he's the mascot. And you saw how Pluto handed him a letter. Pluto, like, is, yeah, Pluto. Pluto in and of itself is just symbolic. It's trying to let you know that what's the themes of Pluto? Death and destruction, rebirth and transformation. The deaths. Wake up, Goofy, wake up. This is serious. So they're telling you to wake up, but the intention is that you stay asleep. And Donald hits him with this lightning bolt because some of us, that's what it takes for some of us to wake up. It takes a shock. It takes a big event. But Pluto, yeah, Pluto, that's just to show you that it's the start of a new journey. It's a new.
Oh, good morning, ladies.
And honestly, it was wrong. Like, it wasn't right of Donald for him not to say, oh, like, you know, for him to say, oh, we're not going to tell the queen. Like, she needs to know. And they have the position they have, Minnie and Daisy, for a reason, which I'll get into in the next couple scenes. So you going in, oh, that's symbolic right there. You going into the cave, and that's where the door to the heart of the world is. So see, they showing you again. You gotta, it's in that dark space where you're gonna find your blessing. You're gonna find out who you are. And again, they alluding to the fact that they're divine counterparts. But they want to keep divine counterparts separate, which is why they're never together. Together, you know, in the way that you're supposed to be together. And he wanted to share the Palpu fruit with her. Like, come on now. They telling you.
What? Who's there?
And the fact that he inscribed it is like he's trying to manifest that.
Huh?
Like he's trying to bring that into
This
reality.
world has been connected.
Now this dude,
What are
Ansem,
you talking about?
this world has been connected,
Tied
meaning
to the
that
darkness. Soon
the
to be
wall that
completely
separated the
eclipsed.
world from the darkness and from the other worlds
Well, whoever
is
you are,
gone, which
stop freaking me
is
out like
exactly
this.
what's happening like right
Huh?
now.
Well, where did you come from?
So that's how he was able to
Not
get
yet
in.
know what lies
You do not
beyond
yet
the
know
door.
what lies beyond the door.
So you're from another
He
world.
doesn't know that it leads to the
There
heart
is
of
so
the
very
world.
much to learn.
And the fact that he says, oh, you're from another
You
world, like,
understand
you
so
intuitively know when somebody
Yeah?
is not
Well, you'll see.
your
I'm gonna get out and
like your
learn what's
people,
out
you know?
there.
Like, you know if you're not the same
Meaningless
people.
effort.
You know.
One who
They
knows
might be able
nothing
to
can
disguise
understand
themselves and to
nothing.
play the part, but deep down, you know if that's one of your people or not. And he says Sora doesn't know anything. Like, Sora, that's one thing I don't like about Sora, is Sora throughout the whole series, not just the first Kingdom Hearts, but he's ignorant. I don't like that.
Riku has changed.
What do you mean?
And she's saying, you know, Riku has
Well-
changed, and she couldn't put her finger on it. It's because she could sense the darkness
Okay.
in him, and she didn't like that.
Sora,
She did not like
let's
that. That's
take the
why
raft
she's
and
saying,
go.
let's take the raft and go, just the two of us.
Huh?
And then she gonna turn around and just say, just kidding.
This guy named you.
Nobody says
You're the one
anything
that's changed,
that they
Kyrie.
don't mean. So I don't.
Maybe.
That just kidding, like, nah.
You know,
Get out of here with that.
I was a little afraid at first. But now I'm ready. No matter where I go or what I see, I know I can always come back here. Right?
Yeah, of course.
That's
She's
good.
saying that, like, oh, I know I could always come back
Sora?
here.
Don't ever change.
One, she
Huh?
didn't know that. I don't think she knew that for sure. She might
I
have.
just can't wait.
But what I wanted to touch on that is because Sora said, she asked Sora, like, right? And he said, yeah, of course. Like, but he doesn't know for sure. He's just agreeing. Like, no. Nah. Personally, if he should have just said, I don't know. Like, he doesn't really have a mind of his own. Like, he doesn't really think for himself. And that's that collective. Like, that's that right path. And Mickey, the divine masculine, he saw something was going on. and he wanted to find out what it was. There's someone with the key to our survival. You have the key. It says we need that key or we're doomed. They want you to not find the key. They want you to think that you're doomed, and you're not. No, it's you're never doomed. It says, would you apologize to Minnie, because Minnie,
What could this mean?
she is the divine feminine.
We'll just have
Both
to
of them
trust
are.
the
That's
king.
why they have such an elevated status. They're poised and elegant. Your Highness. Yeah, you see? Yeah, they really trying to let you know that this is the divine feminine. And it's because the divine feminine is rising. So going into 2020 and beyond, like, women are really about to reclaim their power,
Both of you.
stand in who they are as divine beings. Like, it's gonna be beautiful.
He will accompany you.
The majesty of the womb is gonna be known to everybody.
Cricket's the name. Jiminy Cricket at your service.
And then you got Jiminy Cricket.
We hope for your safe return.
She says he will accompany you to chronicle your travels. You have to remember, like in the movie Pinocchio, what was Jiminy's role? He was the conscience. So in this game, he represents the self that's, you know, kind of like your higher self, your conscience, that's recording everything that you do, everything that you say, and even everything that you think in the Akashic records. That's his purpose. That's why he's there, to let you know about that. And you see they're descending, they're going down, because you gotta descend to ascend. We gotta protect the world border, and then he says order. It's no coincidence they had Goofy say border, because you have to, because your mind is a realm in and of itself, so you have to protect the borders. You gotta close the doors and protect the borders of your mind so that nobody don't infiltrate them. And you saw it was a crown. It stood for the crown chakra. So if you gotta start from the bottom. You gotta start from the bottom and work your way up. So start from the root and then go from the crown. I'm gonna say it again. To descend is to ascend. You gotta, if you really wanna ascend, you have to go through the darkness. You gotta go through hell, what they call it. You gotta go through the underworld. You notice they're upside down? They're upside down because it's flipped. Like, they flip the truth. So they make you think that the darkness is bad when really it's necessary. Like, you need the darkness. And so when they had Donald like wink and they had the twinkling noise, that was so you don't become like aware of what's really happening. Like I said, you gotta go down. You gotta go into the darkness if you want to travel to different worlds and a different realms. It's not through the light, it's through the darkness. So it's interesting that, like, you know, the ship fell out of the world from the bottom and it didn't just blast off. They know what they're doing.
I just can't wait. Once we set sail, it'll be
Yeah,
great.
that divine counterpart symbolism is everywhere.
A storm?
If you haven't found your person yet, you about to find them. I'm just speaking from now. Like, if you haven't found your person, you was about to find them.
Dinner's ready. Come on down.
If you have found your person, you're not together. Nah. Well, if you have found your person, you're not together. That's about to change. Let me just go ahead and say it.
What's that?
It's that's the portal of darkness. It's the corridor of darkness.
Whose boat?
And I feel like I should mention that the invader forces, and you see his because he's realizing his dream came true. But what I was saying is the invader forces, they use advanced technology like, you know, CERN in order to bridge open the gateway and to travel to different universes and the different realms.
Where's Kyrie? I thought she was with you.
And you see that? Like, Riku was meditating. The door has opened.
What?
The door is open, Sora. Now we can go to the outside world.
What are you talking about? We gotta find Kyrie.
Kyrie's coming with us.
He's right about that. Kyrie
Once
is
we
coming
step
with him,
through,
but Sora didn't
we
like
might
how
not
he
be
didn't
able
like
to come
that.
back. We may never see our parents again. There's no turning back. But this may be our only chance.
Now, see,
We
Riku
can't
knew.
let fear
Riku
stop
is
us.
who you're supposed to be.
I'm not afraid of the darkness.
You're not supposed to be afraid of the darkness. The darkness is your ticket out.
Riku.
And he was like, come on, like, let's go. Because Riku knew. And like I said, they really channeled the essence of the darkness in this game. Like, that's why it's thick, it's heavy, it feels like it. And Sora was trying to go with him, but his heart wasn't in it because of that dream. Sora was like, nah, I'm not trying to be with that. And you see, the light, this is the light of God. Like, that's the light. You got the rainbow, the swirls, the spiral of creation, and then the keyblade appears. Because in the depths of that darkness, you're going to find that faith, you're going to find that blessing, you're going to find you, who you are. And remember, he couldn't fight before he had the key, and now he can fight now that he has it because he's tapped into his power now. And then here,
Kyrie.
she's weak because the world lost its light. And he's looking at her like, what's wrong with you? And that's why she was there, because she could sense that. And now that when the door opened, that means the light of that world basically got extinguished. And she, because you know she don't have no darkness in her heart, she her power is like allowed her to go inside him so that she would be safe from the darkness, so that her essence, her soul would be safe from the darkness. If you don't have no darkness, you can't even tap into the darkness. Like, that's why, like, that part right there, and Kyrie and the Disney princesses, which I'll touch on later, is symbolic. Very, very symbolic. And it's not necessarily a good thing. Donald. See, and the world lost its light. Like, and that might not necessarily be a bad thing. You know, the light returned to the world returned to the darkness. That might not be a bad thing, because it means that the world is outside of the construct. It's outside of the program. It's outside of the matrix. So Mickey, he saw that shit, and he was like, nah, we need to find out what's going on. Not realizing that potentially is what's supposed to be happening. And he says, what do you know, you big Luca? What do I know? You're not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to trust yourself. Always, always trust yourself. You're worthy of being trusted. You can trust yourself. And had Goofy had trusted himself and went and followed Pluto, then they would have found the key. They would have found him, and they could have already been on their way. But of course, things happen how they're supposed to, not how you think it's supposed to go. And Pluto found him. That's letting you know, like, it's a new journey. You know, his world's been, I guess, in this context, destroyed, but it returned to the darkness.
Do you know where we are?
They be letting you know in this game.
Hey!
And then you don't see Pluto no more because Pluto served its purpose. They let you know what all this is representing. And yo, you're gonna have to forgive me. I know I need to research Pluto a little bit more, but if you understand planet Pluto and
Who
how
are you?
Pluto works, and like if you're an astrologer, you know how Pluto works, and you're understanding what he's there, why he's there.
Why would it choose a kid like you?
Hey! What's that
And then
supposed
he's
to
saying that like they're
Never
gonna come
mind.
after you. See, once you wake up,
Let's see that
like
keyblade.
mean? What? There's no
you
way
not
you did
really
this.
like they can come after you.
All right.
you're not as
Then have it your way.
you're not as protected and safe as you are if you're, you know, if when you're asleep and when you're in ignorance. So like when things happen to you that cause you to wake up,
Hey,
like
you
them
found
dire
it.
moments and
Nice going,
situations, that's
Leon.
because that's how it was supposed to happen.
Still,
So, but yeah, they come
looks like
after
things are
you
worse
once
than I
you
thought.
aware,
A lot worse.
especially to a certain extent. It's like they're allowed to come after you, and they come after you from all places and from anywhere. So you really have to be vigilant. And so remember how I said earlier, Riku, he you know, in the opening sequence, Riku was in the darkness, not in the darkness, but in the water, and then the water came over them, and the current blew, it pushed Sora away from Riku. It's because they have different paths. Sora is walking the path of light. If you watch the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, he walks the path of light. Riku is walking the path of darkness, and that's why he ended up where he's at now. That's what the that's why they had him right there in that setting with the waters, because they're trying to show you he's on the path of darkness, and then you have Maleficent come up. Y'all know she with the darkness. So we'll touch more on that a little later.
Sure is spooky.
Actually, I'm not scared.
Yeah, you are, Donna. You scared.
Excuse me. Did the king send you?
Now, this woman, this chick, Aerith, she's the oracle. Like, she's the oracle archetype. That's what she's there for.
Come on, lazy bum. Wake up.
Need to tell you to wake up, because you're supposed to wake up, but they want you to stay asleep.
You
Don't
okay?
stay asleep. And he's okay, but
Guess.
in the
Those
game, like, he's
creatures
just
that
like
attacked
waking
you are
up
after the Keyblade.
from being unconscious.
But it's your heart they really
So
want.
he's seeing Kyrie
Because you
because
wield the
like
Keyblade.
she's speaking,
I'm
her
so
her
glad that you're
presence
okay,
within
Kyrie.
him.
Kyrie?
So
Who are
he's
you
in the
talking
theta
about?
state right now, and that's
I'm
why
great
he's
ninja
seeing
Yuffie.
Kyrie.
Hmm?
But now that he waking up and he's fully
I
aware,
think you
it
might have
went back to
overdone it,
Yuffie.
Squall.
That's Leon.
Game is very interesting,
The key.
especially like once you're able to like see
Yeah.
the truth.
We had to get it away from you to shake off those creatures.
And when they
Turns
tell
out
you it's your
that's what
heart that they
attracted
really
you.
want,
It was the only way to conceal
the
your heart
evil
from me.
team, the invader forces,
But it won't
they
work for
want
long.
your light.
Still,
That's
hard to believe
what they
that you,
want.
of all people, are the chosen one.
They don't. It's okay with the key and all, but they want the light. And if you have the key, which
Well,
I'm gonna go ahead and say
I
it now,
suppose beggars can't be choosers.
I could be wrong,
Why don't you start making
but the
sense?
key
What's going on here?
it has to deal with like
Okay. You know
you
there are
are
many
the
other
key.
worlds
Like
out there,
let's
besides your castle in
you
this
are the
town,
key.
right?
And but everybody is not.
Secret.
I just feel like
They've been
not everybody is a
secret
descendant
because they've never
of
been connected.
Solomon and
Until
David,
now.
and that's what they're
When the heart
that's who they're
came,
really after. The
everything
chosen
changed.
ones, the Keyblade, like
The Heartless?
everybody has the
ones who
key to their
attacked
own
you,
salvation,
remember?
but only those that's
Those
descendants
without
of Solomon's had like the
The
key.
darkness in people's hearts.
And they're
That's what
telling you
attracts them.
that the worlds
There
have
is
never been
darkness
connected until
within
now,
every
like
heart.
because
Hey,
even
have
now,
you heard of
but
someone named
into
Ansem?
2020, like there's no veil, there's no more barriers between different
Sam?
dimensions and
He
different
was
worlds.
studying the heartless.
Ain't no more
He
veils.
recorded all of his
It's
findings in
open.
a very
It's
detailed
very
book.
easy for you to tap into another realm,
Course,
into another
can
world,
we see
into
it?
another dimension. It's
Its
very
pages
easy
are
now.
scattered everywhere.
Scattered.
Too many
Too many worlds, too many dimensions.
Oh, then maybe the king went to find them.
Yes, those were my thoughts.
See, like she didn't
exactly.
even speak to the king, but she
We
has all
gotta
this
find him,
information. She's the
quick.
oracle.
Red.
And you see Donald broke the fourth wall. We need that key
That's right.
because
The
you're supposed to be
Keyblade.
outside of. That's symbolic for being
this
outside
is
of
the
space and outside of
Exactly.
time.
The Heartless
Like
have
you're
great
not
fear
bound
of the
by
Keyblade.
the matrix, by the
That's why they'll
program.
keep
You
coming
are
back
outside of it. You are
no
you are
matter what.
in the world, but not of
Oh,
it.
I didn't ask
That's
for
what that
this.
means.
The Keyblade chooses its master.
The Keyblade chooses
and it
its master, and it chose you
So, tough luck.
How did
because
all this happen?
you know that's why they're having like such a hard time, like trying to figure out like why is like how are you the Keyblade
What happened
master?
to my home?
Because like who
Riley,
God chooses, you
Riku,
can't,
Kyrie.
like, you have no say in who God
I really
chooses.
don't
Like
know.
that's the whole point of that scene. Like you don't have no say in
So,
that.
you were
God
looking
choose
for
who he
me?
gonna choose to do what he wants to do.
They too have been
That's just
seeking
how
the
it is.
wielder of the Keyblade.
Hey, why don't you come with us? We can go to other worlds on our vessel.
I wonder if I could find Riku and Kyrie.
See, and like they make it seem like you need like a ship to travel to other worlds, when really you need yourself. Like you don't need a ship to go to somewhere like Jupiter or Mars, or
Go with
you
them.
know, to the
Especially
Akashic
if you wanna
records.
find
Even
your
you
friends.
you project yourself there,
Yeah, I guess.
but you do so through the darkness, through the mind, through the unconscious, subconscious mind. No frowning, no sad faces. This
Yeah, you
boat
got any
runs on
funny
happiness.
like
They're trying to
us?
tell you like you need, despite whatever you're going through, you need to keep the faith. You need to keep your spirits up because everything works for you and not to you. Everything works in your favor. Everything. I don't care what it is, it's working in your favor. And they want you to know that. See, this game is to tell you the truth. Like I said, it's to tell you the
I'll go with you
truth
guys.
and let you know what you're supposed to do
Randy's goofy.
I'm
without
Sora.
you consciously knowing, unless you're just
One,
aware.
one for all.
All for one for all. That's that collective. That's that right hand path. Serving the collective.
That little squirt found that heartless. Who'd have thought it?
And then you got the Disney villains. See, like, I understand why the Disney villains is with the darkness now. Like, cause once you know, you be like, okay, it makes sense. But back then, you didn't know, you be like, oh, not trying to be with the darkness, nah. But they're in the shadows because, like, their intentions are concealed. Like, don't nobody from their respective worlds know that this is what they're doing. Nobody. And then their remote viewing on top of that. I'm gonna get to that later. But you know, Maleficent, she's in the light because you know they want you to know she's a leader. Like she's running the whole thing, and it's because she's the dark feminine. Will it be he who conquers the darkness, or will the darkness swallow him? They want you to be swallowed by the darkness, and nah. That's why no. You're supposed to work with the darkness. You're supposed to, you know, do what you need to do in the darkness, but to be swallowed by it and then that just be if you, yeah. And remember, Leon, he said, keep your spirits up. You gotta keep the faith. Keep the faith. Despite how bad it looks, keep the faith. Trust. And then attain the power of fire. Learn magic. Because when you, as an awakening, as someone that's awakening, when you go on your journey, of course you're gonna learn, like, you know, you're gonna learn about your abilities. You're gonna learn about, if magic is in your bloodline, you more than likely probably gonna be working with magic. You're gonna learn that you know abilities, like, yeah, abilities allow you to do all sorts of things. So see, even like in the context of them explaining, like, they're letting you know. Look like it's up to me to journal. You know, it's he's that conscience. He represents that aspects of self that just observes and records everything.
There's something about this musty place.
And then here we go with Kyrie again. She remembers she's speaking to him through his unconscious mind, like through within him. So the unconscious mind is the reason. It's why you have visions or you have hallucinations and stuff, and nobody else sees it. See that they didn't see it because she's not speaking to them from their unconscious mind. She's speaking to him from him. Does that make sense?
There you are. What's going on?
This game is wild because, like, just because something,
cut it out.
like, it,
I'm
like
not
when you
dreaming
see
this
people
time.
like talking to, I guess, like air, just
I hope
because you
not.
don't see it don't mean it's
Took
not
forever
there.
to find you.
And I learned that very recently. Just because you
Wait a second.
Just
Where's
because
Kyrie?
I see something
Isn't
don't
she
mean
with
that other
you?
people see it, and vice versa.
Well, don't worry.
And
I'm
he
sure she
says,
made
"Oh,
it off the
isn't she
island,
with
too.
you?" Like she is. Like
We're
they trying to
finally
let you know
free.
that she's with him.
Hey, she
She's
might even be
inside of
looking for
him
us
because
now.
that was the only way
We'll all be together again soon.
her essence, her soul
Don't
would
worry.
be protected from the
Just leave
darkness.
everything to me. I know
Because
this.
she don't have no darkness, so she can't, can't do nothing.
Leave
To
it
not have any
who?
darkness, that's like, that's not
Sora,
good.
what
No,
did you?
like they glorify that in
I've
this
been
game,
looking
but
for
that's
you,
not
and Kyrie
good.
too, with their help.
Who are they?
So you see, Riku is you could see
We
you just
visited
feel
so
his
many
vibe.
places
He's
and
jealous.
worlds looking for you.
Really? Well, what do you know?
See,
I
and
never
he
would've
doesn't
guessed.
like that
Oh, and guess
Sora
what?
is the
Sora's
chosen
the
one,
Keyblade
and that Sora
Master.
is special now. He doesn't like that.
What's that mean?
So this is called a Keyblade?
And his jealousy is
Hey,
unconscious,
give it back.
meaning he's not admitting to it. And when you don't admit to unconscious jealousy, it can become
Gotcha.
very destructive and very
Okay, so you're coming with
dense.
us, right?
Like,
We've got this awesome
nah,
rocket.
don't. If you're jealous of
Freaking
somebody
sick.
or something, you need to acknowledge it very quickly, and then you need to deal with
What?
that.
Forget us.
Oh, come on. He's my friend.
That's what I have to say on that.
Oh, he's
And because
gone.
Donald was like, I don't want him on there, he already left.
Riku?
He left. He was just like, okay, you know what? Like, nah, I'm
Nice
not supposed to be with
going.
them. That's how he felt.
Oh, well. At least
And
he's
why did he
okay.
feel like that? He felt
who
like that
knows?
because of
Maybe
Maleficent.
we'll run into Kyrie soon, too.
You see, it's just as I told
And she is foul for this.
While
Maleficent
you
is
toiled
preying
away
on his
trying to
jealousy.
find
She's
your
preying on
dear
his
friend,
darkness.
He quite simply replaced you with some new companions. Evidently. Now
And
he
she
values
like, she
them
lying
far
too.
more than he does you.
That's how you know she with the darkness. She don't
You're
care.
better off without that wretched boy.
And she was trying to
Think no more
separate
of him and come with
him
me.
from Sora so that he would
I
steep
hope you
so that
find
he
what
would
you're
steep himself
searching
deeper into
for.
the darkness. Because Sora, remember, Sora's the light, so
Why
he's
do you
not.
still care
The
about
closer
that
you are
boy?
to the light, like,
He has all but deserted you for the Keyblade and
nah,
his
look,
new
hold up,
companions, after
I'm
all.
backtracking.
I don't care about him.
Because the light
I was
illuminates,
just messing with him.
so the closer he would have been to Sora,
Of
he would have
course
saw
you
that he would have realized that she's lying.
Beware the darkness in your
And
heart.
she's telling him to
The
beware the
heartless
darkness in your heart
prey
because the
upon
heartless
it.
prey on it. But she's
Mind your
preying
own
on his
business.
darkness. And even though he yelled at her because he knows that she's speaking the truth. Like, you know how, like, when somebody hits you with the truth and you be offended? That was that scene right there. And I don't like saying the word, the list. Y'all know, the heart. I don't like saying that. So, it's because when they talk about the heartless, like, in the context of this game, is really talking about those who are unable to activate the heart chakra, aka those without souls. Like, and it's really that deep. So I don't like that word too
I
much.
was only trying to. A snake's
And then
little
Clayton,
bite. See, I saved
he
the poor
okay. First
gorillas.
off, he tried to shoot the gorilla. So what was that one scripture? The righteous man regards the life of the beast, and Clayton didn't. So already Clayton is dark. And then on top of that, he's trying to lie out his way, and he's just lying. And it's like, no.
Oh, because of one
And nobody
mishap.
falling for his
Calm
BS.
down.
Also, remember, I'm only human, so my interpretation of this game, it's correct, but it's always new information to be discovered, to be revealed.
Blasted gorillas. I'll hunt down every last
So
one
this
of
is
them.
just, I'm breaking down this
I'll
game
track
at
them
my
down
current level
somehow.
of
I'll stake my
consciousness.
life on it.
So I know, like, I'm confident the majority, like, what I'm saying. is the truth, but like I said, new information can be revealed. So do your own research, and even if because I know this is going to strongly resonate with people that's viewing this video, so even though it resonates with you, still do your own research and don't just take my word for it. Find out for yourself.
No!
And you see Clayton. Okay, so Clayton already he remember the darkness in his heart grew when Jane, when she basically kicked him out, and he says, you know, I'll find a way to hunt them somehow. He said, I'll stake my life on it. That's when he really opened himself up to the darkness to consume him. And as a result, this happens. He lost his heart. It became darkened. And they went to Sora, so like make sure that this doesn't happen to you. Like because everything is about balance. You need to balance the light with the darkness. Don't just be polarized to just the light or just to the darkness. Balance it. They need to be equal.
This is your home?
And he says, oh, this is your home because your heart is your home frequency. Your heart is who you are as a divine being.
Waterfalls. They're echoing all the way here.
Friends there, see friends.
See friends.
So when they tell you that basically this is what this is referring to, it's referring to that one scripture where it says
Heart.
like God would turn humanity to a pure language. That pure language is empathy. It's through
Clayton.
unity consciousness. It's through heart-centered consciousness.
No heart. No.
So
friends.
going into 2020, like
heart.
the world is not going to be ran off
Sorry
you
about
know,
what I
left
said.
brain logic. It's going to be ran off of heart consciousness. All for one. That's why like Doctor and Sora were having a fight, and they cleared that up because they're not trying to lose their heart. Because like when your heart chakra is open, you're gonna have compassion for even the lowest of creatures. Sora going around filling the cube holes is bad, because remember, it's the keyblade of light, and the blue beam is the blue beam represents the artificial light, the false light. So when he's going around, he's sealing the keyholes. He's locking the heart chakra. Like that's what that's symbolic for. It's locking the heart chakra, and that's what the intentions of the frequency of the light, and then the sound, and then the lock of the keyhole. That's their intention, is that your heart chakra is like, it closes, it locks, because that's what that means. So that's why I get why the Disney villains, they were upset. They were like, this nigga going around filling the keyholes. Like, no, like him going around filling the keyholes was not a good thing. Symbolically, on an occult level, that's not good. Because you can't return to darkness. Like, him sealing the keyholes is locking the pathway to your heart. Like, no, that's not good. And Jafar, right here, he stepped into the light because he's showing his true self. Hearted fools stood no chance against the heartless. Not realizing he's the guy he's talking about. And remote viewing, I don't like that. Like, remote viewing is a real thing. It is an invasion of privacy. Like, be careful with that. I would not advise that. If you can remote view, I would not advise that. Like, invading somebody's privacy, like, no. You can if you need to contact me or something, you can do through face to face or through a message.
The heartless are searching for
Don't be
now.
remote viewing people without their
I'm certain
permission.
we'll find it soon enough. So that just leaves.
I kind of like one thing I've always liked about Kingdom Hearts is how they do the the world introductory scene.
The girl is more troublesome
And one thing like about like the Disney
Said you
villains
had things under
and how they're with the
control.
darkness, if you notice, a lot of times they speak in parables.
Holes for rats to hide in.
Who else spoke in parables?
But
It's
one
they're in possession of that
chest
wisdom, even though
with her
they're
knowing
not necessarily doing
surely
things
this
for the
will be
collective.
ours when we find the
And that's one thing, like the darkness, when you're with the
Nearly all
darkness, you're not
7
really,
princesses of
you might
heart
work with
open
other
the
people,
front
but
door.
ultimately you're alone.
Any fewer is useless.
It's not a collective or group effort like it is with the
Well,
light,
if
because
princess is that
darkness
important,
can
we'll
represent
find
isolation
her.
and light represents the
Find
collective.
Jasmine and bring her to me.
Don't steep yourself in darkness too
I'm left and
long.
she's speaking that truth. She
The
let him know.
heartless consume the careless.
And he laughs and he says
Your
that,
concern
like,
is touching,
you
but
know,
hardly
her advice is
necessary.
not necessarily, like, it's not necessary because her advice was unsolicited. Like, but even though it was unsolicited, she was right, and that's why he got consumed with the darkness. And when you're consumed with the
My
darkness, when it's
final
pitch
wish.
black, when it's dark, it's
I
dense,
want you
that's
to
when you
make
start making
me an
destructive choices. When
all-powerful
it's restricted, you start making
genie.
choices that's not necessarily that's not necessarily correct for the right moment in time, but it will work for your highest good, if that makes sense. He
Okay,
wished
Jafar.
to be made a
Back to your
genie,
lamp.
and as a result now he's a spirit, and because he's a spirit, he can't he can get trapped into things. He can get trapped into items of the matrix. That's a problem. If he didn't make that wish, he would still be able to freely leave the worlds and travel and be outside of time and space and whatnot. Isn't the Disney princesses just getting snatched?
That smarmy vizier could have had him.
That smarmy
If someone
vizier,
had stuck around to give him a
because
hand.
Jafar thought he was above it
Hey, I
all,
did my
and
part.
he wasn't,
I
and
brought
that's
the
why he
princess, didn't
succumbed
I?
to the darkness.
Jafar was beyond help, consumed by his own hatred.
And Maleficent
One
told
should
him.
beware of letting it burn too fiercely.
That's why she making that face. Like, I told that nigga, he didn't listen.
Whoa,
And she said one should beware of
as
letting
cool as
it
they
burn
come,
too
okay?
fiercely.
By the
Like,
way, kid,
you need to be
we got
honest about
something
your
special for you.
darkness. Like, them dark aspects that you have, you need to be honest with yourself about that. So
We
they
have a
don't
deal,
go out of
yes?
control.
You
And they
help
don't
us,
land
and
you in
we grant
situations
you
that
your
you could have avoided, you know? And there goes that remote viewing. I do not like
Hurry,
that.
go to her.
I don't like that
Your
at
vessel is
all.
waiting.
At all. And it's because, like, I've had people remote view me. I don't like that.
Just
Nope.
remember, this is no pleasure cruise. It won't be a pleasant voyage.
Why are you doing all this for me? What's the catch?
He's asking you what's the catch?
Cat, what's the cat?
Because he know you don't get nothing
Silly
for free.
You're like a son to me.
And she's saying you're like a son to me. They're trying to let you know that she's the
Seriously doubt
feminine, but
that.
she's that
Believe
mother
what you
aspect.
wish.
And then you got that
But lest
symbol
we
with the
forget,
snake and the
I
heart
kept
that
my
represents
end of the bargain.
and how it through the heart chakra to get to the crown, and you be aware, activated. And she looked like, you better do what I told you. Now this part, this goes back to what I was saying about like the heartless.
So, Kyrie's like a lifeless puppet now?
Precisely.
So she's like a
And her
lifeless
heart
puppet
was
now. Her heart
Taken by
was,
the
aka her
heartless,
soul
no
was.
doubt.
She's
Tell
like
me,
a
what
lifeless
can I do?
puppet. So like,
There are 7 maidens
when
of the
you
purest
not,
heart. We call them the princesses of
unfortunately,
heart.
because it can
Gather
happen
them
when
together and adore
your
will
soul
open
or
to
your
the heart of
your
all
light, your
worlds.
essence is not
Within lies
in
untold
control
wisdom.
of your body. Like when it's not
There you
within
will
your
surely
body,
find a way to
you're
recover
like,
Kyrie's heart.
your body is basically just an empty vessel,
Now,
and
I'll
any
grant
other
you a
entity can like
marvelous gift.
use that. It can use your
The
vessel.
power to control
But I
the
wouldn't worry too much
heartless.
about that because we're all safe and we're all protected. Now this part right here is to let you know,
So,
like,
Kyrie, soon.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to continue this later. Oh, I'll touch back on it on part 2.